The ethics complaint from Michael Scacco towards Salvatore Gabriele was the subject of a public hearing Thursday night when Mr. Gabriele submitted a memorandum to the hearing panel requesting they suppress all testimony and evidence that extends beyond January 5, 2010. According to the memorandum, on May 20, 2010, Michael A. Scacco, an employee of the City of Stamford, filed a 4-count complaint with the Ethics Board, alleging that Mr. Gabriele, Joseph Tarzia, and Robert Kohlenberg violated Stamford Code of Ethics. You can find a copy of the Code of Ethics on the government website. The memorandum also contains a description of the event. Quote, on December 14, 2009, City Employee X was the subject of a disciplinary hearing related to poor performance of his duties as an equipment mechanic. A few days prior to the hearing, Joseph Tarzia, the chairman of the Board of Finance, and one of the subjects of this complaint, asked Ernie Orgera, director of operations, to intervene to prevent the termination of X's employment. X was subsequently transferred to Schofield Town Yard in lieu of any punishment. Mr. Tarzia intervened for X because they are friends and because X is a political supporter of Mr. Tarzia. X also received special treatment because of his relationship with Board of Representatives Mr. Sal Gabriele, a political ally of Mr. Tarzia. End quote. The memorandum presents 5 exhibits, from notice of the pre-disciplinary hearing for the city employee, to notice of suspension, to notice of reassignment, to personal emails between city employees regarding city snowplows and other city property. After the pre-disciplinary hearing, the city employee was suspended for 5 days, December 28, 2009 through January 4, 2010. Upon his return to work, he had been transferred to another city location. The memorandum concludes that, quote, the board should order that no evidence relating to events after January 4, 2010 are admissible, and the panel should be precluded from attempting to argue about any purported violation other than what is memorialized in the findings, end quote. The hearing panel, which is made up of 3 Board of Ethics members, unanimously voted to deny the memorandum because they did not want to limit the scope of the investigation.
To overrule, or to deny the motion, obviously subject to any further objection or motion that would be made during the hearing as to the relevancy of specific evidence. I'm not prejudging the relevancy of any evidence, but I do think that the finding of probable cause is broad enough, is more broad than stated by Mr. Gabriele's counsel, and is broad enough to encompass the different circumstances that are alleged throughout the complaint. Sarah?
Okay, that's all right. That's a compliment, yes. I think if the investigating panel was just looking at the disciplinary process, the suspension to determine the probable cause, then they should, the time should be limited. However, I feel that the complaint was alleging harassment and the actions presented to support that harassment, and what had occurred by Mr. Gabriele, so I feel that it should not be limited.
Yeah, and for me the clearest thing, I think, unless the investigating panel specifically dismisses certain allegations in the complaint, so that would be cut and dry, which I don't think they do. So the fact that they don't specifically dismiss complaints, I think, allows us as a hearing board to also refer not only to the investigating panel's document, but to the original complaint. So that would push me to deny as well.
Unanimously, the motion is denied.